gentlemen, I'm the only authority you will need. I point, you shoot.
Right. Now the only person you're punishing is yourself.
Frank Castle?
I still have the video files. The U.S. military turned you into a hitman, Frank.
Let them take us down.
They killed my family to get to me.
I can't remember anything.
The same thing that happened to you happened to me. We could make that.
Guys, welcome back to another Netflix review tube, and we do got something really good again today. Last time you guys caught me talking about a little bit of Daredevil. If you haven't seen those season 1 through 3 reviews, definitely go ahead and check that out. And then come back to this Punisher review. So today we talk about the Punisher on the Netflix review tube, and may I say, one of the very few actors in the world had his role pretty much selected for him. Every once in a while you have that superhero or anti-hero or whatever that definitely is meant for said role. Jon Bernthal, Punisher, obviously is missing kind of the bulkiness. He's not too small, but he's not accurately sized for that specific role. But he does a great job, and he does a job that carries himself well throughout season 1. In season 1, we do see Jon Bernthal take over the role of Frank Castle, who is the Punisher, but fails to do punishing throughout the first half of the season. There are some conflicts, there are some fights, and there are some good moments in there, but ultimately it's really, really slow. If you have a development that doesn't move too quickly and it's not efficient on a quicker pace, they should have done it a little bit better when it comes to picking up the pace type of standpoint. You have 13 episodes, a total of 26 in between 1 and 2 seasons. Hopefully there's a third one day, but that remains to be seen. Within Jon Bernthal's role of Frank Castle, we see a guy who is struggling with the loss of his family. Being an ex-Marine that he is, he thought that he had it all figured out. He thinks that he still does, until one little tip-off manages to tweak his mind. With that tip-off, there becomes new characters invested. So not just Agent Madani, not just Micro, who is someone who was caught and stowed away pretty much against his will, in a way, even equivalent to the lines of blackmail, if you will. Micro is a character who, obviously, we see his own environment in his own secret area that no one has yet found. So he uses that to keep an eye on his family, to make sure that they're safe. He misses them. He wants them back. But they think that he's dead. They think that he's gone. Little to know that towards the end of the season, things take a turn in a way where that may not be the case. So for those of you who have not seen it again, check it out and see what I'm talking about. If you have, awesome, we know what happens. Not a bad heartfelt situation, but there's a burn that ties up into it before everything is calm. Back to Agent Madani, explores Agent Madani, as well as she has a relationship throughout the season, and a secret relationship throughout the season with a guy named Billy Russo. Now, Billy Russo, who does that sound like? Once was good. He eventually becomes the guy known as Jigsaw with a fucked up face. Why is his face messed up? Again, towards the end of the season, we see that he is the main villain, or he is the co-villain with the main, can't remember his name, I apologize, main sergeant from the Marine Corps, that they are plotting to go ahead with their main objective. Now, with that said objective, didn't want to give too much away there, but with that objective, there comes a bind with Billy Russo, who is also a friend of Frank Castle, but that also takes another turn that we did not expect. Billy, for some time, does not know that Frank Castle is alive, and for Frank Castle to even succeed in finding out who really murdered his family, or who set the whole thing up from where it once began, he needs to keep his identity, and he needs to keep his well-being on the DL. Frank Castle is a brute force, he's like a broken record that is unsure where to go, but once he has a path and puts himself back together, he takes it on with full frontal force. He's not like Batman. He's not like Daredevil. He doesn't care if he kills people or keeps them alive, but leaves them lying on the street as a bloody pulp. There's a difference. I like this because he does it well. He's serious and he's strict on his role. The way we see this Frank Castle is the way we should only ever see this Frank Castle. One who is relentless, one who is driven, and one who stands for his purpose, whether he believes at the purpose has come to an end or come to a demise or not. So obviously that's a big thing. I like it. We do see Karen Page as well. Karen Page is in the season a little bit, not as a main role, such as Daredevil with Charlie Cox and all that cast, but we see her pop up in from time to time. I like this like additional support add-on with the character. It adds some flavor and some context that makes things more at ease throughout episodes. But not every episode has it. Now developing more into the season, we see that Frank knows that there has been an issue with who he once thought who was his friend. His only true friend, honestly, that really remains throughout the whole season, without any sort of, knotted end, with a problem to it, is a guy named Curtis. Curtis is a character that also is a friend of Frank Castle, but the fact is he never does anything wrong. He only protects Frank, and he has his back, and that's great. We have that nice character that really is not any sort of issue. He only seeks to help, but he wants to, in a way, get over his, Marine life, his service life, and he has his own sort of rally that he succumbs to every week, and tries to bring people back into the real world from being in the service. There's a point where Frank is trapped. He's tied down to a chair. He does get captured, but at the same time, he kills his ex-sergeant in a way. Well, not in a way. He kills his ex-sergeant, and it goes down that path. Billy helps him out, but not without some sort of negotiation. And Billy, it turns out in the end, Billy is the one that actually structured the whole setup. And Frank finds out, and evidence points out, and Madani also finds this out, but not before there's a plan for, to capture Frank, as if he's the one doing something ultimately wrong or against the law. So we see that to go down that path as well. Kind of fast forwarding through all of that, we see the final fight scene leading up to everything that has found out, everything that has been evidented. Frank goes to the park and meets Billy Russo for a final showdown, with great action-packed violence, with great choreography. We see upon many other nice little story-driven aspects and threads that connect from dot to dot to dot. I like how they do it. It's not exactly like the comics, but it doesn't have to be. It just has to have those spurts. So in that regard, it has certainly succeeded. We see Frank Castle finally suit up on that white paint skull Punisher logo that we all love. We finally get him at his baddest, at his meanest, and at his most determined. He beats the living you-know-what out of Billy Russo. He smacks his head against the mirror. They fight. They thrash against each other. He takes them down. He really messes up his face, and it's very, very disfigured, and also makes him lose part of his memory because of how bad of a beatdown that was. Ultimately, things kind of settled there, and then we get an ease. Micro is directed back towards his family. He's safe. There's nothing else saying, "Hey, I'm gonna kill your family if you let them know that you're alive because of the wrongdoing, so to speak, that you have done to us." So, way back in those service days when it was an earlier time, before the murder of Frank Castle's family, even. I want to thank you guys for watching. Like it up, subscribe, thumbs up, flex it out, whatever you guys doing, all things justice. You already know who your boy is. Straight up, like the video, comment, hit that bell for the latest and greatest next video. Wow, Punisher, great, just good stuff. A B. again, why? Slow start, not enough fast pace for it for a season that has 13 episodes. You just got to move faster than that. That's honestly why I give it a B. But other than that, there is really nothing wrong with the season. Again, take care, guys. Till next time.